Most people don't think they have enough time to engage in meaningful projects, and they procrastinate a lot, including me. When in reality, I think that the real problem is that most of us are scared, frightened by it, or at least I am, because I've always felt pressured. In my mind, time is this gigantic entity that I can't confront. Thinking this way leads to paralysis, and that was for me the precise root cause of my procrastination issue. Over the years, I've realized that I don't need extra time, I just need to treat time differently. Now I'm just convinced that the first step to improving your lifestyle is just to reshape the relationship that you have with time. And this video is precisely about that. In order to do it, we're going to take a look at the 5 steps that I've found over the last 4 years to extinguish my procrastination and to make my peace with time. So, first of all, time has been existing since the beginning of the universe, and it would be kind of foolish that you can battle against it. And in order to get down to the root cause of your procrastination, the first thing that you need to ask yourself is, how do you perceive time? What does this concept represent for you? For me back then, time was almost an enemy. Because if there's one thing that I was aware of is that I only have a limited amount of time and I know it. In my mind, every second was me losing time and time winning over me. This limiting mindset prevented me from engaging in meaningful projects because each time that I was about to start, my autopilot mindset will not cooperate. And I felt like doing and engaging in a task that I had set up for myself was impossible. Because listening to the voices in my head and studying the verbal reasons why I felt like I could not engage, well, it led me to understand that my procrastination was mostly based around this biased relationship that I had with time. And there are two main excuses that kept coming back and that led me to procrastinate. That's one, it's too late, and two, I don't have enough time to do it. And I feel like those two sentences alone, they have surely prevented 99% of all the human ideas that could have morphed into existence. Because by saying that repeatedly, you're telling your brain and you're reinforcing that idea that time is against you and that you're running out of it. Time then becomes the enemy because it's a reason why you can't seem to engage in your meaningful projects and activities. You're cursing the very single thing in the whole world that has the power to lead you towards your goals, your aspirations, and your purpose. And at that moment, you need to realize a harshful truth. You either work with time and follow his rules, or you consider it as an enemy that's trying to steal away from you the limited amount of it that you have, and you just live a painful life of inaction. And flipping this relationship from time being an enemy to a friend isn't magical, but the theory behind it is really simple. And if you want to break the I don't have the time to do it spell, you need to start by acknowledging this. What makes you think that this time is yours? Because I thought that I was entitled my share of time. Like I live and so this time is mine, and it just doesn't work that way. Because time is an abstract concept that dictates how the universe works. It's not like that concept only manages your life. Yes, you'll die and you have time in between the time you were born and the time of your death. But this time that we're talking about isn't yours. It's a more general concept that you need to get a hold on. Time is neutral. It isn't anyone's. It's just a law of the universe and how things work. And by conceptualizing like this, you'll slowly tell your brain that it needs to adapt his comprehension of the whole phenomenon. Because time is merely this sneaky shadow that's only purpose is to see you die. Time is more like a really slow protecting entity that's only purpose is to make sure that all of the tempo of the world is passing correctly. So time is just time, a continuous tempo, and it's definitely not the daunting thing that I blame for not doing what I should be doing. If you start convincing yourself that you're racing against time, you may find some serenity. You find comfort in realizing that this whole concept is just bigger than all of us. It's not just yours, you're just moving along with it. And the best way I found to not be crushed by an abstract idea like time or death is to transform it into a game. Forget about time for a minute. What you get instead are 24 coins that the time man puts under your pillow every day at midnight. That's one thing you can be sure of. Because if you woke up early this morning, chances are that you got all your 24 coins. Because the concept of time isn't perceptible, its horizon is so infinite and far from the concept that we can understand as humans. We need to reduce the time horizon so that our mind can understand how it works and make sense of it. Because everything is way less scary when you understand how it works. So hold on to this idea that instead of having time, you only have 24 hours, each of those 24 coins representing an hour. And you can use them however you'd like. And I remember telling myself I had school for 5 hours, job for 4 hours, and then I got to sleep 8 hours, transportation for 2 hours. And yes, you still have responsibility. It's the same thing. The time man doesn't care about human responsibility. He just gives you the coin and then he's gone. So the only thing that you can make sure is that you're using your coins properly. Seeing time through this lens will forge your mind. I went from the idea that I was constantly losing my time to maybe time, after all, it's a resource and it can be exchanged for something else. It's a trade, not a loss. And I get to make 24 trades a day. Once you've unlocked this mindset, you'll gradually start to see that things are doable. Things that you thought were impossible before or that you were procrastinating over. For example, if you've always wanted to play the piano, but you've never found or made up the time to do so because it's a massive investment of your time, you can tell yourself that instead of learning the piano for 10 years straight up, you get to trade half a coin or maybe a coin a day and invest those coins into learning how to play the instrument. Because in my case, back then, I was using 21 coins and I still had three time currencies to allocate. That's what happens when you start counting and sorting things out. Time magically appears. And if you don't know where your time's going, you should probably look at the screen time on your phone. So that's what I did, and I quickly understood that all of my three coins were being invested in social media. So one thing to be said though, it's easy to start dwelling on lost coins, but it really isn't the goal, and it's really counterproductive. So stay away from this tendency because I did, and it didn't get me very far. Considering all this time as lost isn't something that is going to help you. All this time you've used was necessary to get you to where you are right now. And if you start to use this liberating mindset, you can only apply to your current life. Just look at your life and study it. Don't judge it. Bear in mind that for every process, in order to optimize it, you first need to be comfortable with the basics. For that, you need to go through the cycle of trying, failing, reiterating. And when I started to use the coin system, I tried to optimize it too fast, too quick, without taking care of the basics. And this resulted in me being overwhelmed because I didn't know where to start or what to do clearly. So instead, what you want to do is you really want to be down to earth and think logically. And if you want to start optimizing, you have two options. The first one is you start by optimizing the essential responsibilities. You want to compress time to free as much of it as you can. So that would be job, school, homework, laundry, that kind of thing. Everything that's not fixed, you can start to find ways to make it more time efficient so that you have more coins remaining. Or two, when you can't optimize your essential coins, then you start optimizing your remaining coins. You make sure that you're making the most of it by using them appropriately and according to make a step in the direction of your goals each day. So in my case, I couldn't really use less time for school or for the job, but I could use the second option and start optimizing the three lasting coins that I have left to advance my projects. And the reality is that it's hard. You come home, you're drained, and it's hard to not fall for the social media and the quick food. But when you think about your goals and aspirations, you rapidly understand that if you want your ideal life to become reality, there is no way you can lose that precious time. And this is hard to implement because the key is consistency. But if you open up your mind now and you start to see this as this game of the 24 coins. The good thing is that you can start right now. You don't need more time. You don't need money or any specific traits for that matter. You just need to start studying yourself and understand your relationship with time. You also gotta forgive yourself about all the time that you've potentially lost procrastinating, because it's not worth dwelling over. And for me, the reason I procrastinated so hard was the fact that I was deeply terrified to be in direct contact with time, as I felt like I had no control over it because it was passing by. But your relationship with time doesn't have to be so dramatic. And for that to happen, you need to deconstruct it as much as possible in order to understand the root cause of your paralysis. This is the best lines I've found so far in order to do that. The most important thing to remember is that you're playing a game and you have to take it lightly. And if you want to learn how to do that, you can watch the next video. Trust the process.